Think about what it means to be a head of state. You command armies, you shape the fate of nations, you're surrounded by immense power. Now, think about a high-security prisoner. They have none of that. They don't even get to decide when the lights turn on. Today, we're going to break down the incredible multi-layered system designed to take one of the most powerful men in South America and put him inside a world of total control. Let's get into it.
I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Miraflores Palace, a presidential mansion with these grand halls and fleets of luxury cars. And on the other, a concrete cell that's smaller than a walk-in closet. You go from giving commands to following them without a single question, from absolute power to absolute confinement. This isn't just a change of scenery, it's the complete 180-degree inversion of a person's entire world.
So how in the world does a transition this dramatic even get started? Well, it begins with a clear, undeniable show of force, a mission that wasn't just designed to make an arrest, but to make a very powerful statement.
And this whole thing was incredibly swift. I mean, boom. On January 3rd, 2026, Special Forces descend on a military base in Caracas. Now, this was not a quiet knock on the door. It was a full-on military extraction. By that very same day, he was on U.S. soil at an Air National Guard base, and from there, it was a helicopter ride straight into Manhattan. The speed itself was the message. Your power can vanish in the blink of an eye.
And of course, you can't just do all this without a legal justification. The entire foundation for the system rests on some incredibly serious charges. We're talking narco-terrorism. That means using drug trafficking to fund terrorist activities. You know, these aren't minor things. These are the kind of charges that unlock the absolute highest levels of the American security system and justify the kind of extreme isolation that was about to follow.
Okay, so let's start peeling back the layers of this cage. And the first layer, believe it or not, isn't a cell, it's the building itself. This isn't some prison out in the middle of a desert. It's the Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC, a high-tech fortress sitting right in the middle of New York City, hidden in plain sight.
And let me tell you, MDC has a reputation. It's known for holding really high-profile people like El Chapo and Ghislaine Maxwell, but it's also infamous for its brutal conditions. We're talking severe understaffing, constant lockdowns, and a history of violence that's even turned deadly. So the baseline, the starting point, before you even get to any special security measures, is already incredibly tough.
And then you remember his old life, grand halls, manicured lawns, opulent rooms. The psychological whiplash of going from that world to the one we're about to see, it's almost impossible to even wrap your head around.
Because the day-to-day reality of MDC, if you listen to what former prisoners and lawyers say, is horrifying. Inmates have had to deal with freezing cold temperatures when the power goes out. They've reported finding maggots in their food, toilets that are always broken, and mold everywhere. Conditions got so bad that they actually led to a $10 million lawsuit settlement. This is the world he was dropped into.
But here's the thing. Maduro isn't even in the general population. No, he's in what you'd call a cage within a cage. So let's zoom in even further to the next layer, the box he actually lives in, the special housing unit.
80. Just let that number sink in for a second. 80 square feet. That's it. It's a space smaller than a lot of people's walk-in closets. That one single number probably tells you more about the claustrophobic reality of his new life than any long description ever could.
And just check out the furniture here. I mean, every single object in this cell has been completely stripped of any idea of comfort. The bed? It's a concrete block. The toilet and sink are a single piece of steel. The mirror is just a polished metal sheet. Even the walls have sensors in them. This isn't furniture, it's security hardware.
The routine itself is just another layer of control. Wake up is at 6 a.m., sharp, no exceptions. The cell has to be cleaned. Food just shows up through a slot in the door. And for 23 hours a day, he is inside that box. Even the light is controlled. It never fully turns off. It just dims to this constant orange glow so the cameras can always see.
So, okay, we've got the building and we've got the cell, but the physical walls are only part of the story. The next layer is this whole system of procedures and technology, all of it designed for one purpose: total and complete isolation.
And this quote, this one really gets to the psychological heart of it. Silence causes alarm, stillness is not allowed. What does that even mean? It means a team of officers is watching his every move, 24/7. If he stops moving for too long, a guard literally comes and bangs on the door. So you can't even have a single moment of private, quiet peace.
And what about when he has to leave the prison for court? Well, that control just goes mobile. First, he's completely restrained. chained at the waist, wrists, and ankles, with this thing called a black box over his handcuffs so he can't move them at all. Then he's put in a windowless, bomb-proof armored van, and the whole procession is escorted by a massive motorcade of SUVs, with helicopters overhead and police boats securing the route. It's basically a military operation on the streets of New York.
And get this, even the most fundamental right a defendant has, speaking to their lawyer, is completely controlled. Meetings happen through thick glass. You can't just pass a piece of paper back and forth. No, every single document has to be scanned and vetted by the government first, totally cutting off any chance of a private, unfiltered conversation.
All right, so we've seen the physical cage and we've seen the procedural cage. Now we get to the final and maybe the most insidious layer of control, the prison of the mind. This is where the system is designed to strip away who a person was. And you can see it right here, plain as day. The symbols of identity are just systematically erased. His name is gone, replaced by a prisoner number. His personal clothing, like that signature sweatsuit, is gone, replaced by a standard-issue prison jumpsuit. He is no longer an individual. He is an inmate.
You see, this is a deliberate strategy of sensory deprivation. There are no clocks, so time just blurs together. There's no TV, no internet. His single hour of exercise happens alone, inside another concrete cage. The goal here is pretty clear. It's to make a prisoner feel weak, disoriented, and vulnerable before they even set foot in a courtroom.
And you know, as harsh as MDC Brooklyn is, it might just be a temporary stop. If he's convicted, the likely final destination is ADX Florence in Colorado, America's one and only federal supermax prison. It's a place they call the Alcatraz of the mountains, where this kind of total isolation isn't a temporary measure, it's a life sentence.
So, from the very moment of his capture, every single step was just one part of a long process, a process that all leads here, to this moment, inside a concrete box, under a light that never, ever turns off. And it raises this one profound, unavoidable question. In a system so perfectly designed for total physical, procedural, and psychological control, what is ultimately left of the person inside?